This second section, I really want to talk about the consequences of not committing to optimizing your sleep. And again, we talk about a lot of positive multipliers. This is really the negative multiplier aspect of not getting sleep right. Look, there are huge risks for cardiovascular disease. I think that study after study show a clear link to increased risk of cardiovascular disease, whether it's hypertension, stroke, heart disease, directly linked to lack of deep restorative sleep. Some of that, especially if the reason you're not sleeping is due to apnea, right? Sleep apnea, by definition, lack of no oxygen, you're not breathing. So these micro experiences every night. I was just looking at a sleep study of one of our members. He had 80 apneic episodes in one night.
Wow.
80. That means 80 times in one night of sleep, he stopped breathing.
Wow. That's scary.
Multiply that lack of oxygenation to the heart times decades. This is why there's no confusion around the cardiovascular risk for sleep apnea. And you can't just wish your way through that. That's a big deal. Metabolic disease, insulin resistance specifically. If you're not getting deep restorative sleep, there are plenty of studies that show in just otherwise ideal metabolic environments, short periods of time of sleep deprivation can facilitate fast tracking towards insulin resistance, which, as we know, is the root physiology of all metabolic disease. Insulin resistance leads to diabetes, inflammatory, atherosclerotic process, instability, hypertension, obesity, all of these things. Chronic fatigue affecting decision making.
Do you have some personal experience with this?
Oh my gosh. On the negative side, for sure.
Yeah.
And even in your own experience on one night, you said brain fog. Working nights, working in the ER, overnight residency, there are clear studies linking to one 24-hour period of no sleep to be equivalent to being legally intoxicated.
Whoa.
And we were actually told that in residency. Hey, by the way, driving home post-call is the equivalent of driving drunk.
Wow.
Think about that for a minute. One night, your response times, your decision-making, your processes, the way you make decisions, it's lethargic and it's not crisp.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't have a lot of people who work manual labor in our job, in our practice. The majority of our clientele are thinkers. They make decisions for a living. They're leading, they're thinking, they're problem solving, they're innovating. The impact on your thinking. And one of the most common things we hear is brain fog. I'm fatigued. A lot of that has to do with hormones, but a lot of that has to do with you're just always tired.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else can we talk about? Tell me about some negative impacts some consequences that you're seeing, as I've rattled off a few, in your own clinical practice.
I think you touched on most of them, but for me, as a clinician, you have to do a deep dive into all the variables, right? So we look at diet, we look at exercise, we look at hormonal status, family history, all those things, but sleep is one of those variables that we talk about and that we dive into with our members. And, if it's off, we have to fix it. Bar none.
Mood.
Yep.
I just thought.
Oh, yeah.
Depression, mood, mindset, just how your joy.
Your want to. You talk about the fire in the belly, with testosterone replacement therapy, but gosh, if you're not getting good night's sleep.
I got as much want to as I know of anybody. And when I'm tired, I just lose my tailwind.
Yeah.
And actually, it's worse than that because I lose the drive to do, but then it creates a conflict in my mind. Why am I need to be doing this? I actually want to be doing this, but yet I'm not getting up and doing it. It's very devastating.
Yeah.
And so, all right, I think that outlines kind of the chronic consequences.